What's up, everybody? Welcome to Hammerdown Motorsports. Here we are now in the afternoon sun because we filmed actually both these videos the same day. So no big deal. We are still working on the Rebel. If you guys didn't see part one, definitely check out that video as well. And now we're going to be doing the second modification to the Ram, and actually one part for the third modification has shown up. So we're kind of just working chronologically as everything arrives, and we're going to get the next piece installed and make this thing even better. All right, so we have the Rebel up on the lift. This is part 2 of 2.0 Ram Rebel build, and this is something that we put on the truck originally, and now we're going to be doing an upgrade. So the thing that we're going to be changing is going to be gone 1, 2, 3. And as you can see, we have no steps on the truck anymore. Our Weston steps are removed, and I had actually really good luck with these steps. They never had any rusting issues or anything like that. The only reason that I'm changing them is, well, there's something else we're doing to the truck, and if you guys have probably figured it out already, stepping up onto these tuck up pretty close up to the rocker panel, and it's just, even with this lift kit on, it's a little bit high. So just for me, just for the kids, just for the dog, all that kind of stuff, since we're doing something else, which is pretty obvious by this point, we want some steps that are going to be a little easier to use just for day-to-day use. With that being said, these steps, they're very lightly used. They're in perfect condition other than just needing maybe a little bit of a wash. But these are up for grabs. If you guys are interested, let me know. Local pickup only. Definitely not shipping these things. It would cost me $1 million these days. But yeah, if you're in the area, if you're looking for some good steps, definitely a good deal for these ones. Shoot me an offer, whatever you want to do. I think these were like $500 new, but definitely willing to negotiate on that, being that they are used. But it's never been off-road. There's no dings, no scratches, none of that kind of stuff. But that being said, these are for sale. And also, if you guys want a set of factory steps, I do have them as well with all the hardware and everything. So if you bought a Rebel, doesn't have steps, you want a set of factory steps, same deal with these. They are in really good condition, just need a little bit of a wash, and they have all the hardware with them as well. So yeah, if you're in the local area and you need a set of steps, I've got 2 sets. So now that we've gone through what we're actually doing today, you can see our boxes here. We have the Amp Research Power Steps, and if you guys have been with the channel for a long time, you know we've been here before. We did these on the Black Laramie. So now we're gonna be doing them on the Rebel. So for the new Rebel people out there, I really don't think the process is much different, but if you wanna stick around to see what it looks like on this truck, on this build, this is what we're gonna be doing today. So if you guys are wondering why we have a huge mess all over the floor, well, that was because I was using that workbench for all this stuff, which was for stuff for the mezzanine. But yesterday we had a twin turbo GT350R up here, and we had the turbos out and the exhaust manifolds and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we were using that to do it, and now I've got stuff for the last project, and now we're doing the current project, and yeah, that's just the way it goes. So now we're gonna use some more YouTube magic, and we're gonna unbox it right now. We have our 3 boxes. You can see we have driver 1, passenger 2, and then 3, which is our hardware, harness, all that kind of stuff. You want to make sure you have the right kit, and to save anybody asking for what the part number is, this time we're going to go right to the tag itself. It's right there. It says Amp Power Step Ram DT 2019 1500 only. I don't know if it refers to the ones that are newer because I'm not sure when they made that tag. Maybe it's just to say it's not for an 18. I don't know why it says 19 only, but either way, that is the one that we're using on the 19 Ram Rebel today. And then we're gonna get everything here unpacked and start our installation. So first thing what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna grab the rear idlers, put them on quick, just so that's out of the way. It's just basically, you can do it whatever which way you want, but I mean, this is just a quick first step. It isn't probably the first step in the instructions, but I start following instructions when I stop knowing what I need to do. And I've already done this video once before, but I just need to be reminded a little bit. But either way, I just want to get the first part out of the way, and that's what we're going to do. Get the rear idlers installed, and then we're going to move on to probably step 1, which is now going to be step 2. But yeah, anyway. All right, so I put my idlers on the back just to get those out of the way. These aren't tight just yet, but these are a 13 millimeter. Just put all the hardware from the kit, got these in place. Make sure you clean the surface on the other side if you got any dirt or anything. You don't want that in between, and then we're gonna be able to torque that all down at the very end. Once we have our boards on and everything's nice and happy in its position. But next up, what we're gonna do, come over here, you can see this bracket right here. There is 2 10 millimeters on the back, 1 on the front. We're gonna remove that, and then there's another one in the kit that we're gonna install. So now that we have our bracket over here for our front harness on the driver's side, all installed nice and tight, now we can go ahead and install our motor bracket on the front and the passenger side. And first thing you want to do is just kind of clean this up a little bit. And remember, if you didn't have original running boards, these studs may have some paint buildup, so you might want to clean that off first. Mine already had the running boards. This is the third set, so we're pretty much good as far as that goes, but you don't want to have any binding with your nut when you try to put that together. And once you've got everything where you want it, for me, I'm going to just nicely snug these so they can still slightly move until we get the board on, and then I'm going to torque them up to 16 foot-pounds. All right, so my memory is starting to come back from the last time I did this, because I mean, I could have just rewatched my old video, but I just kind of wanted to experience it one more time. What I did the last time, from what I remember, is I actually fully extended it, and then it would hit the lift and I couldn't put it on. I had to take the motor back off. So on the driver's side, it's no problem to put the motor on while it's on the vehicle. But over here on the passenger side, our top bolt, if we try to put the motor on while this is already on the truck, there's no way to get the bolt in the top because this little bracket's in the way. So what we want to do is put our motor on the passenger side before we put it up, and make sure, if you're using a lift, make sure you have enough room to clear the arm. I don't think it matters what position the motor's installed on. I think the module just kind of senses when it's all the way up or all the way down. And I guess when we plug it in, we're going to find out, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So what we're going to do is just kind of pull this back off, get all our bolts in, and then we're going to torque them down to spec. All right, so we have our passenger side arm here on the bench. Ended up getting all of the mounting bolts in and torqued them down to 35 inch-pounds. All right, so we got our bolts loosely started so we can still move the board, and I have this in place. You guys can see we've got 7.5 inches to the edge of our board to the hinge here on the front motor piece. And now we're able to tighten all these down to 10 foot-pounds, and then we can torque all of the other ones, our mounting nuts, and we're good to go as far as the mounting of the boards goes. And now we get to move on to the fun part, the wiring and the lights. All right, now it's starting to look like something. We have our boards on each side. Now we just have to run our wiring. So we're gonna lower the truck down, get everything connected, get our module mounted, and then we can start fishing the wires down through and actually make these things work. And just to clarify, you can see on the instructions, this kit is good from 2019 to 2021. I imagine 2022 as well, but that's just what it's telling us right here on the instructions. I'm sure they'll update everything as the new models roll out. So now we're going to be doing the wiring, and first thing you want to do is locate your module, unwrap it, and then we've got these two plugs that go into it on our main harness. Also, there is a little tag on here making sure that you orientate this plug. There's little kind of round plugs and square plugs, so you want to make sure that you have it in the right orientation. This one was a little tiny bit tricky. Just as I was pushing it on, these pins wanted to push back and kind of like push out of the connector, and this whole kind of blue weather pack was pushing out. So what I did is I just kind of got it pushed in, connected, and then I just took a small pair of pliers and just lightly pushed on these, and they went right in. So no big deal there now. It's just something I ran into, and yeah, it was a pretty quick fix. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our module, we're gonna place it where in the instructions it says. I have to go back and double check that just to make sure I'm telling you the right thing. We're gonna zip tie down the module, and then we're gonna hook up our ground. And then they say to hook up the power wire as well, and they just say to pull the fuse out of it. For me, I think I'm just gonna leave it disconnected, and then I'm gonna route our wiring over to the other side. It's pretty easy to tell which is the passenger side, because obviously you need a lot more wire to get over to the passenger side. So the long wire is gonna follow the factory harness over to the passenger side, and then we're gonna route our driver side wiring down through where I've ran many wires before. And then we have to run our trigger wires, which is, let's see if we can find it here real quick. Probably got everything hanging out the front. Trigger wires are gonna be these ones here, I believe. We're gonna run these into the cab through that little grommet that, well, obviously if you've done any accessories on your Ram, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yep, we're gonna get those in there, and then we have a plug that's gonna go to our OBD2 port. And then we have to tie into our fuse box with the little connector, which from what I remember was pretty easy. So as far as the ground goes, there's a nut right here on the fender. It's a 13 millimeter. I already have one thing already hooked up to it. So that's where our ground's gonna go. Then we're just gonna tie up our wiring nice and neat and get everything underneath where it needs to be. We can start hooking up the lights and plug in the motors. All right, so with the wiring, it's not too terrible. Just take your time. Make sure you're routing it in a way that it's not going to pinch up against something or by anything that's going to turn or get hot or anything like that. Obviously, you have your exhaust on either side, so you want to stay on the other side of the heat shield. There's a little heat shield up there, and you just want to follow the wires that are there from the factory, because obviously they already engineered this truck for the wiring to be where it is. It's probably a good idea to follow that and just make sure, yeah, everything is in a place where it's not going to get cut or burnt or any of that kind of stuff, and you should have no problems whatsoever. It actually only took me this time probably about 10 minutes or so just to kind of fish everything through where I wanted it. But for right now, I'm just going to actually mount the lights, and then I'm going to be able to find out how much wire I'm going to need, and I can just kind of tie it up to where I want to have it, so I don't end up having to cut off zip ties later on because I already tied up the harness and then I need more slack here or there. So get everything in place and then tie up your wires, and then everything should be good to go. So the lights are pretty straightforward. You just have two-sided tape on the back. And I haven't read this far in the instructions because I've done this before, but the last time I followed the instructions to a T, and they come with these little grommets, and I imagine that this is in the instructions because the grommets are still in the kit. But they want you to actually drill through the pinch weld on the truck, and I did that last time. It was very difficult. You needed very good drill bits. It's very, very hardened metal to get through that, and I'm not doing that again. It's very simple to just run the wire underneath the pinch weld. The two-sided tape will hold it in place. Take these and put them in the toolbox for some other job. We don't need them because I think the only reason they do that is because of liability. If you were to hit something on the bottom of your pinch weld, it would cut this wire, potentially short out, something like that. I'd rather not drill through my pinch weld and take that risk. So that's just me. You can go ahead and get some good drill bits and drill right through your pinch weld if you'd like, but this is the way I'm gonna do it today, and just something to keep in mind. And if you want to take an extra step to make sure that everything is going to stick for a very, very long time, I have this stuff. It's called Sika Activator 205. And this stuff works really, really well. It's almost like a primer for two-sided tape. So what you do is you take a Q-tip, just dip it in the bottle and just lightly apply it. Give it a few minutes to dry, and then it'll really make that glue stick extra strong, just in case you're in a dirty environment or something like that where you're afraid if it starts to lift a little bit, dirt will get behind the tape and eventually the light will fall off. You have to replace the tape. This stuff I've had very, very good luck with, and unfortunately I don't know if I'll have a link in the description for this because sometimes it comes and goes from Amazon, but it is available in the world. Just gotta kind of look for it. All right, so it's probably like 11 o'clock at night already. I had other stuff in the middle of this video to do. That's why we're here so late. Tomorrow's supposed to rain. We have a tin roof, so let's push through. We do have our OBD2 port right here. This, well, not the port, but the plug. And this part's gonna go into our power distribution block, and it shows in a picture kind of how that all goes. There's like 2 rows of green spaces. I think most of them are empty. And then you can just plug this into any one of those and that will work. We have our purple wire and our purple with a black stripe wire. And then on our harness, those are the same color. These 2 purple wires are gonna go through your firewall, and then you're gonna connect them inside the cab because obviously this plug isn't gonna make it through the cab. And that is pretty much it. You plug this into your OBD2 and then you plug in your power, and we should be live, all ready to go. And it's kind of like deja vu doing this for the second time because obviously if you guys remember, I did it on the Laramie, now we're doing it on the Rebel. So it's kind of a little bit different now to seeing it on the lifted truck and everything, and we're just gonna do it again because we're doing it anyways. So we're gonna get this connected and we should be all live, and let's try this thing out. Well, everybody, it's been a bit of a late one, but I do have everything hooked up. Got my fuse right here, everything's put in, connected. Kind of ran that along this side of the battery. We have our module there. Wiring went up over the factory wiring, like I said before, and everything is tied up down below and all that kind of good stuff. So now you can see we have a whole lot more ground clearance, and it just gives the truck a whole lot more of a cleaner look. It's really kind of hard to see right now because we have the table in the way, but right now I think this truck has definitely stepped up the game in the clean look department, definitely. So what I did, and this is something to remember, I didn't have the OBD2 connector connected, but I just put the fuse in to power everything up. Now, when you do that, the steps go up. So don't have anything in the way. I seem to remember saying this the last time too, but then when you do hook up the OBD2 it powers up the module, and then obviously the steps open when you open the door, and you're all sorted out. I do have to do something with this wire. I'm gonna kind of tuck it up in there a little bit more. This is not how I'm gonna leave this. I have one of the splitters, so you can actually hook onto your OBD2 and then have another one, so you can hook this in, and I'm just gonna have that tucked up in here. Then you can also have the extra port then to hook up a scan tool or whatever without having to unplug the steps, which is really, really nice. But if you guys remember, we have the lights. And honestly, I mean, this is just the only way to go if you are willing to spend the money. That's the one reason I didn't do these in the beginning is, well, they're like 1,600 bucks. So yeah, but getting in and out of the truck, so much easier. I mean, right now on my lifted truck, I'm like right here on my calf. The other ones were way up here. So this is a whole lot easier to get into the truck. Absolutely unbelievable. And it's going to be so much easier for the wife to get in and out. I'm very excited to have these on the truck, and it's about time I spent the money. So if you're going to do steps and you're going to keep your truck for a long, long time, these might be worth spending that, well, 3 times as much as the other steps that I did have on the truck, which looked good, but these are better. Especially when you do this. And they go up out of the way. We had no issues with having them kind of halfway out when I put the motors on. They know what to do. They'll go up all the way when you hook up the power, and then they know how far to come out once everything is functioning and hooked up as it should be. Underneath the dash was actually pretty easy. They say you can pull this panel off and get to it, which you can, or you can just go under the dash and you can see it. It's like right in here, and you can get to it pretty easily. I didn't have any trouble whatsoever. And yeah, it's all hooked up, ready to go. Everything's nice and tied up, aside from this little loop right here, which I'll deal with later because it's, yeah, probably closing in on midnight right now. And I want to go hang out a little bit before I go to bed. So there it is. Step install is done. And we're moving on to the next thing, which is something we're waiting for parts right now, but I did get one piece of it today. Hopefully soon we can get everything and we can go to stage 3 of the 2.0 build on the Ram Rebel.